Hey, good morning. My name's Chad with the Word and Coffee. What we're going to do is just kind of go through the Bible chapter by chapter and just have little short devotions. This isn't meant to be any kind of in depth study, it's just a quick little devotion. They'll probably last 8 to 10 minutes and just something to kind of get your day started. I'm going to be reading from the New King James Version, the New American Standard, the King James, a few different translations, and we'll just kind of go through, like I say, verse by verse, and read, and maybe pick out a few things that I think are noteworthy, and hopefully it'll be something that you can use throughout your day to kind of focus on God and focus on the things that you have going on with a biblical perspective. So we'll get started, and no better place to start than in the beginning. So, Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. Then God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." Thus God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. So the evening and the morning were the second day. Then God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herbs that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, the herb that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the third day. Then God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light on the earth." And it was so. Then God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. God set them in the firmament of heaven to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning were the fourth day. Then God said, "Let the waters abound with an abundance of living creatures, and let the birds fly above the earth across the face of the firmament of the heaven." So God created great sea creatures, and every living thing that moves, with which the waters abound according to their kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." So the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Then God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creatures according to its kind, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth, each according to its kind." And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to its kind, cattle according to its kind, and everything that creeps on the earth according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all all the earth and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. Then God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. And God said, see, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. Also to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, in which there is life, I have given every green herb for food. And it was so. Then God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. So the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So going back, one of the things that I always find to be kind of interesting, we get a lot of questions as Christians. Where did God come from? When did God's beginning start? And it's important for us to realize that time and space are created for us, for humans. God exists outside of a time-space continuum. He doesn't need time and space. And we get right here in the very beginning, the very first words of the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So in the beginning, he set forth time, and he created heavens and earth. He created the space. He created everything that we need to be able to exist. And what he did there was he did something in a creation from outside of what he exists in, which is not anything that we can understand as humans. It's hard for us to understand eternity because we exist within that time and that space that God doesn't exist within, that God created for us to be able to have a place to exist. So that's the first thing that I always kind of come to when I'm reading in Genesis, and I notice that there's some questions that we get asked as Christians regarding God, and well, who created him? Well, nobody created God. God has always been, and we look at time as being linear, that time is something that has always been itself, and time was created in and of itself. Time is a creation of God, and he exists completely and totally outside of time. Time exists, once again, for us, not for him. So that's the first thing that kind of comes to mind here, that the deity of God is so great and so wonderful and magnificent that it's not contained within anything. It's not contained within time. It's not contained within space. But he contains time and space within his own creation. One of the other things that I really love to read through the Bible and find different things about. This is something I remember a pastor of ours told us one time as we get in here to the verses in verse like 16, 17, 18, when he's talking about creating the sun and the moons. He made the two great lights, one to rule the day and the lesser to rule the night, and he made the stars also. When you think about the vastness of space and what stars are, and how big and gigantic and powerful and all the energy that's contained within stars, it's amazing to think that what God says here about him was he created them also. I did that. It's almost like it's something that is so easy for him to do, just to speak into existence the entire universe, and for him to create the sun and the moon for us, and to create the planets that go around, and for us to be able to use those for times and seasons, and then to create the stars also. Like I said, you think about the vastness of the magnificent, huge stars that we know about in our our own solar system and our own galaxy here, the Milky Way. And then you think about others in different places, and once again, the huge vastness of those. And he made those also. Um, it's just a picture of the magnificent power of God and how he just spoke those things into existence. We lose sight of that sometimes, about how big and powerful and incredible our God is. So that's another little observation to make, that a God that's that powerful, that yet created us in his own image and loves us, and desires a personal relationship with us. That's really, really cool to use a term there that might not capture what it really is. It's just magnificently wonderful. And then the next thing that I take note of here is that all the things that God made, let the earth bring forth creatures, let the earth do this. It was let. And he spoke all these things into existence as he went. And then God said, let us make man in our image. The pastor of the church that I go to now spoke on this not long ago, and I really, really enjoyed hearing him speak about this. I've heard it before, that man wasn't just made out of God's speaking. Man was actually something that God took time to make, and actually he took the dust of the earth and created man out of it. And so it was different than him just speaking man into existence. He actually made man. And it gave man a preeminence within creation, because man was put there to rule over the creation that God had made, and to be God's worker in the world. That's still true today. It's our job to be God's worker in this world. We have jobs to do. Adam was given a job to do from the very beginning. And God made him with a purpose, just like he made us with a purpose. But it does differentiate man from everything else that was created, everything else that was made, the fact that God made man in his own image. That should speak to us about the preciousness of life and what life is in a human being. The fact that we are made in the very image of God, and we should take that very seriously. All right, well, those are three quick thoughts. They kind of are disjointed, but three different thoughts from the first chapter of the Bible. The first chapter is foundational. It's important, magnificently important, just for the fact that this is what God says happened, and it is what happened because God said so. And the fact of the matter is that if we begin to discount these first parts of the Bible, the way so many evangelicals, people who claim to be Christians, are doing today, are saying that, well, you don't have to believe in anything in the Old Testament in order for you to be a good Christian or to be saved. And these are foundational, and if you can make the people question creation, if you can make them question the very beginning, the very first things that God tells us about how we were created, how his creation came into existence, then you can make them question anything. And at that point, the rest of the Bible becomes less and less authoritative and less important. If you don't believe everything that is contained in the Bible about the fact that God did these things, and he did these things with a purpose. So if we start questioning, well, if that's not right, then how do we know that everything about Jesus is right? How do we know everything about his resurrection is right? How do we know about his death on the cross being right? So the point is, these things are foundational, these things are important. And without creation, without the very beginning, without God's authoritative word explaining to us how things came into existence, the rest of the Bible loses its authority. It loses its ability to be what it is supposed to be for us, and that's transformative, because this is more than just a book. This is God's holy word to us. I'll leave you with that thought. Hope you have a great day.